I'm taking on one of the hardest and most enjoyable tasks in Football Manager, the Glory Hunter Challenge. I need to win the top division and the major cup of each of England, Germany, Italy, Spain and Portugal, as well as the Champions League and the Europa League to consider myself successful. And my journey is going to start in Germany with RB Leipzig. Your journey with me starts by hitting that subscribe button and enjoying the chaos that unfolds. I'm using an updated database for the new season, and Leipzig are predicted to come fourth, with Bayern being by far the strongest side. Now I'm taking inspiration from FM25 and I'm not using international management in this one, so I'm not going to go for the World Cup and the European trophy, so I'm going to give myself 15 years rather than 20 years to get the job done. Okay, first season, and this is the tactic that we are rolling with for RB Leipzig. So the 4-2-2-2, a relatively standard tactic that I have used a couple of times previously and is usually used to pretty good effect. Checking out our best 11 without restrictions, that front line of Openda, Silva, Simmons and Baumgartner is fantastic, and that should hopefully take us forward, maybe not for a trophy this season, but into the future. Of course, Simons is on loan this season. I doubt we'll be able to stump up enough money to be able to keep him permanently, so we are going to have to replace him after this season, but hopefully he'll do a really good job for us, which he already has. He's got 3 goals to start the season. Lewis Openda and Andre Silva each put 5 in the back of the net in our opening game, against a team I've never heard of in the DFB Pokal. But it's good to see the attack firing early. We were scoring plenty of goals early on, though the defence was a bit leaky at times. 4-1 away to Augsburg was followed by a 5-2 win at home against Werder Bremen. And then we started our Champions League campaign with a big 5-2 win against Atalanta. Andre Silva scored a first half brace, while Xavi Simmons copied him in the second half with 2 quick-fire goals of his own. But in the second round of the Cup, one of the trophies we need to win for this challenge to be complete, we travelled away to Greuther Fürth and conceded first from a corner from Jonas David. Andre Silva equalised early in the second half after a beautiful cross by wingback Henriques, but then that meant we were headed to penalties, where we lost to the second tier side to be knocked out very early in the competition. During January, one of our best players had his minimum fee release clause activated by Liverpool, so Lewis Openda and his 18 goals in 21 total games moved on to England, while we spent some money on Vanderson from Monaco, who I think is a perfect signing for a Leipzig side. At the start of February, we were level on points with Bayern, but 3 behind on goal difference. Andre Silva now having to carry the load alongside a returning Benjamin Sesko, who recovered from his injury. We finished top of the table in our Champions League group with 4 wins to see us drawn against Benfica in the round of 16. And we accounted for Benfica pretty easily in the second leg with a first half goal to Xaver Schlager and a late sealer from Andre Silva 3 minutes before the end of regular time, as we won the tie 2-0 overall. But that's where our fortunes fell apart, as we start losing games in the Bundesliga, like 3-0 away to Wolfsburg, 2-1 away to Eintracht Frankfurt, and a 1-0 loss at home to Bayern, which ended our title hopes. We also got lumped in the Champions League 6-1 on aggregate against Man City, as we conceded 4 goals without scoring at the Etihad. However, it was a very respectable second place finish overall, with Bayern 11 points ahead of us. We have plenty to build on for next season. A really solid season from our guys. As you can see, Andre Silva getting 13 goals for the year. Benjamin Sesko, when he came back from his injury, got himself to the top of the average rating with 7.42 for the season and 6 Player of the Match awards, considering he had an interrupted season. David Raum was the equal best in the league for assists with 11, so that is a great effort by our guys going forward. As you can see, Silva scored 23 with Simons, Sesko and Poulsen all getting into double figures, and of course we had plenty goals from Openda before Liverpool bought him for us with nothing we could do because he had a minimum fee release clause. We've got plenty to work on for next season. Let's push on forward in the video. This was a ridiculous transfer window. We had a lot of players that wanted to leave, and we had a bit of age in the squad that I wanted to move on and bring in some younger players, which I think is probably Leipzig's actual modus operandi. So moving on, Gertruda and Benjamin Sesko, both to Newcastle. Both wanted to go once that Newcastle bid came in, and I was happy to let them go. Torino, Klosterman went to Juventus, Poulsen went to Girona, Enriques and Schlager both went to Al Tawoun, and Timo Werner went to Al Tai. So getting £10.5 million for someone of his age is a pretty good effort. And all in total, that was £114 million that we managed to add to our transfer budget. And the first player we brought in was probably the best player that we brought in, and that was Moritz Kjærgaard, coming in from our affiliated club RB Salzburg. The young centre-back and defensive midfielder Pascal Clemens comes into the squad. We got him from Hertha for £5.75 million. And another fantastic signing right here is Semi Kiliksoy. He comes in from Besiktas for £20 million. Hopefully he's going to get plenty of goals for us. He is a wonder kid on this game, and there is every reason why, because he just scores goals for fun. Vital's going to give us another option in the centre of defence. He's happy with the ball at his feet, as well as doing the defensive duties, so this is a really good option for just £6 million. Yuri Alberto comes in for £8 million from Corinthians. This guy will be leading the line for us alongside Kiliksoy for the rest of the time that I'm at the club. Another fantastic young attacking midfielder is coming in Martin Bacciarina. He's going to give us plenty of options going forward. We needed a new goalkeeper, and in comes Lucas Chevalier. He is coming in for £30 million from Lille. An absolute bargain for a defensive midfielder here. Damien Garcia is coming in for just £2 million from AC Milan. And another defensive midfielder, he's going to be more of a backup for us, is Jura Schuttard, who's coming in for £10 million from Montpellier. I've just got another option on the left wing to back up David Rom, and that is Quentin Merlin, who is coming in from Marseille. And on the right hand side, we have Juan Lu, who's coming in for £17.25 million. And finally, a backup striker in Kaya George, who's coming in for £8.25 million. An incredible transfer window, plenty of youth coming into the side. I think the oldest player that we bought was 23 years of age, and all of them are either first team ready or they're all ready to be backups for the team. Season number 2 came around, and we were still looking for our first trophy to add to the Glory Hunter cabinet. Second game of the season, we were humbled 3-0 away to Bayern Munich, which made it look like we were a long way off getting trophies in Germany. We also had to play them to start our Champions League season, and at least we scored this time, even if it was a 3-1 loss in Munich. We made it past the second round of the DFB Pokal this time. Holstein Kiel were no match for us, as Damien Garcia, Moritz Kjærgaard and Semi Kiliksoy all got on the score sheet in a 3-1 win. But we would only go one step further in the cup as we travelled to former powerhouses Kaiserslautern, and despite scoring early on in the game, through Andre Silva knocking in Bacciarina's cross at the back post, the home team equalised in the second half through Aaron Apoku, and then disaster struck in the first minute of extra time as we couldn't clear a long throw, and Richmond Tachi tapped home at the near post for us to be knocked out early again. Our next opponents in Europe were Sevilla at home, and we scored 2 goals in each half, with Kjærgaard opening the scoring in the 25th minute, and Kaya George finished the game in the 83rd minute with a lovely shot into the bottom left corner. Our form was up and down throughout the Champions League, as we only managed 2 other wins in the group stage against Newcastle and Napoli, but was good enough for 13th place and a trip to the knockout round. We were hanging in there in the league too, as we were only 2 points behind Bayern Munich with 15 games to go, but we were a long way back on goal difference. From then on, our form was very solid, not blowing teams away, but getting the job done week in and week out. After taking a 3-3 draw away from home to Rennes, we hosted them in Leipzig, and Yuri Alberto was the hero with an early second half goal to see us through to the round of 16. We again hosted a French team in the second round, as Nice travelled to our place to frustrate us to a 1-1 draw. But we did much better in the away leg, as David Rom drifted forward to receive a beautiful pass from Kjærgaard for the first goal, which was followed by an own goal later on in the game after a Baumgartner cross to seal our spot in the quarters. Our league form was strong too, with wins against Schalke 3-1, Heidenheim 4-2 and Mainz 1-0, while Bayern Munich dropped points to Dortmund 1-0 and at home to Stuttgart in a 1-1 draw. Napoli was the next opponent in the Champions League, and young Turkish sensation Samir Kiliksoy was the beneficiary of our midfield maestro Kjærgaard's fantastic work, as he slotted home early before scoring a real poacher's goal in the second half as part of a fantastic 5-2 win for the team. We even beat them in Italy as well, with Kiliksoy and Andre Silva scoring late on in the game for a 7-3 aggregate win, which means our semi-final opponents were Bayern Munich. And the first leg was a tough battle, as we managed to secure a 1-1 draw with a late goal to Pascal Clemens. And in the home leg in Leipzig, it was a 72nd minute goal from Amadou Hadara, who rifled home a goal from the edge of the area, which sealed our spot in the Champions League final. Meanwhile, after Leverkusen held Bayern to a 0-0 draw in mid-April, we were top of the table and just needed a win in our final game at home to Freiburg to win the Bundesliga. And there was only one goal in this game as Martin Baturina superbly finished into the top right corner in the 9th minute of the game, as we win the Bundesliga and seal the first trophy in our glory hunter cabinet. But then it was time to see if we could seal a second trophy, just 2 weeks later, as Bayern's home ground hosted the final between Leipzig and Real Madrid. Early in the game, in just the 12th minute, it was that man again, Maurice Kjærgaard, who set up Yuri Alberto for the first goal of the game. Real Madrid had plenty of shots on our goal, but it was us that continued the threat, as 20 minutes into the second half, Martin Baturina played a beautiful ball for Alberto to latch on to and rifle past Courtois in goal. And while a goal late on from Kylian Mbappe made things interesting in the final 16 minutes, we held our nerve and held on to win the Champions League and add this second trophy to the Glory Hunter cabinet in just the second season. If only we could actually beat second tier sides in the cup. Maybe we could have been out of here already. What an incredible season that was, winning the Bundesliga by just 1 point over Bayern Munich when they had a goal difference of 78. But doesn't matter when we won a game more than them and finished on top of the table. Maurice Kjærgaard was in the average rating with 7.38, as well as topping the table for Player of the Match awards with 6. He was a fantastic acquisition for the side, and Lucas Chevalier really did a great job as our goalkeeper. He came second for the most clean sheets with 15. And in the Champions League, Yuri Alberto got 9 goals to get himself up into the player stats, and Maurice Kjærgaard had the most assists with 9 for the season. And if we look at that overall, there's no one who massively stands out. So Kilik Shoy getting 16, Kjærgaard 16, Alberto 15, and Silva with 13. Baturina there with 9 as well. Is a really good effort for him, as he was our next in line in the attacking midfield line. And then for the assists, you have Kjærgaard 14, Vanderson, great acquisition, that one with 13. Baturina again with 11, and David Rahm with 9. Of course, there's no better time than right now to help out content creators like me who are still doing FM24 work, of course with the new game coming out much later than it's supposed to. And the best way to do that, of course, is to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on this incredible Glory Hunter journey and any other video that I put out on Mr. Apple's FM. Like the video and leave a comment down below with who you think the best teams would be to start a Glory Hunter journey. Let's get back into it. This was a much quieter transfer window than the last one. We sent out Nicholas Sievold to a Saudi Arabian side, Al Nassr, for up to £35 million, which is a great effort to get that kind of money for him. And Wan Lu, despite coming in as a backup, was really unhappy that he was a backup. He went out of the side as well. Bochum paid up to £10.25 million for his services, so that's all money we could put back into a couple of really good signings. And the 2 major signings that we made, first off was Valentin Barco. He's going to be our left back. David Rahm was really good, but I think Valentin Barco can be an even better left back for us. And then finally, the man who's going to control the centre of the park for us in the defensive midfield line, Pape Matar Sarr. He's coming in from Tottenham for £60 million. But what a signing this will be. He is a fantastic young defensive midfielder. And if we have a look at what that does for the best 11, just have a look at that front line. There are green lines everywhere. They just love playing with each other. Both Sarr and Barco go into their respective positions in the tactic, and I think this is going to be a really solid side for this season. Hopefully we can push for another Bundesliga trophy, although Bayern Munich, of course, are ridiculously good. But the main thing is, let's go for the DFB Pokal trophy. This season was only going to be about the DFB Pokal, though winning some more trophies will certainly help with my reputation when looking for more jobs. We started comfortably with a 4-1 win away to Hansa Rostock, as Jim the Anvil Neidhart's long-lost son Nico Neidhart scored for our opposition. That was followed by another win away from home against Dynamo Dresden 5-1, with Yuri Alberto getting himself on the score sheet twice. The third round then put us up against the best team in the country at their home ground, as Bayern hosted us early in the cup, which we won 1-0 thanks to a late injury time goal to our backup striker Kaio George, sending us through to the next round and knocking out our biggest threat for the trophy in the process. Next up was Borussia Dortmund, so the tough teams were still going to come for us. In the Champions League, we again qualified for the knockout playoff round, as we had wins against Milan 3-0 at home, a fantastic 5-1 win away from home against Atalanta, a comfortable 2-0 win at home against Ludogorets, and a very entertaining 4-3 win against our associated side, RB Salzburg. In the league, we weren't much match for Bayern this year as they were 7 points clear of us, with Dortmund splitting us in second place. Speaking of Dortmund, we still had to play them in the quarter-final of the DFB Pokal, and only 1 goal separated the two sides as Valentin Barco smashed home a penalty for the good guys to get a win away from home. Things didn't go so well in the Champions League, however, as in the round of 16 we hosted Chelsea, who took a 2-1 win from us back home to Stamford Bridge, where we got absolutely thumped 7-1. I wonder how many times last year's winners have been destroyed by 6 goals in the following season of a Champions League. Our Bundesliga form wasn't much better though in March, as we had just the 1 win in this month, meaning we were really struggling to compete with the likes of Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen and Borussia Dortmund. But perhaps we had it a little bit easier in the cup now, as up next was FC Köln, though it was away from home. That semi-final again only saw 1 goal for the game, as Semi Kellershoy tackled a Cologne midfielder and put the ball past Jonas Erberg in goal just before half-time, as Leipzig have qualified for the DFB Pokal final against Bayer Leverkusen in Berlin. We recovered a little bit late on in the season to finish 3rd in the league, and again qualify for the Champions League. But that won't matter much to me if we get the win in this final. Leverkusen got the better of us early on, as a long Frimpong cross in the 18th minute found Martin Terrier, who nodded home the first goal. Captain Moritz Kiergaard showed an incredible bit of skill and composure to equalise just before half-time, before Leverkusen got themselves ahead again with a goal from a corner in the 63rd minute. But 2 minutes before time, Yuri Alberto was played through by Elmas to equalise the game for us. Then, in the 94th minute, 4 minutes into injury time, our captain, our inspiration, our best player, Moritz Kiergaard, snuck forward unattended and scored the winner for Leipzig to win the DFB Pokal and complete Germany for us in the 3rd season of this Glory Hunter Challenge. As we put the 3rd trophy into the cabinet alongside the Bundesliga and the Champions League trophies, it's time to leave this place and see what will come around next. So what a way to end our time in Germany with a 94th minute winner in the cup final. Thank you, Moritz Kiergaard. He is a fantastic player, definitely someone I'm going to be looking at bringing into my side quite a few times in the future. And then checking out those squad stats, and you can see Kiergaard had 28 goals, Alberto on 24, Kellershoy with 18, and George with 13. Vanderson then topped the table with 15 assists for us, with Merlin on 14. Kiergaard and Alberto both getting into double figures for assists as well. What a fantastic pairing they are. Kiergaard on the attacking midfield line, and of course Alberto leading the line up front. But now that we have won every trophy that we can in Germany, it is time to do one more thing. We are resigning immediately, and let's see what kind of jobs will come up in the job security area. So I've filtered out all the German teams, all the international teams, and any team that is below the top tier of their country. There's not a great deal around at the moment. The only ones that I can really see at this point in time are probably Man United. Antonio Conte currently is insecure in his job. Generally over the summer, they usually give them time and they go back to being stable. But then if they have a bad start at the start of the year, then they will go on and sack them. Let's just hang around and see if something comes in. And then, on the 28th of July, 2026, Jose Mourinho quit his job at Napoli just before the start of the season to take on the position of England manager. So I made it clear I wanted the Napoli job, and after a successful interview the next day, I was approached by Napoli to be their new manager.